Bryce? Wait just a second.
Yeah.
Good, Bryce?
Yeah.
All right, Coach, you want to start us?
Yeah, you first have to congratulate Miami. I ran back over there to hug Chris Dominguez and his wife Shannon and his mom, and I see JD in the corner of the dugout, and it hurts, man. I mean, I've been there. Whew. It's so emotional. You can't win every regional, you can't win every super regional. So to be that close, to go to Omaha, I've been a part of it. So my heart does go out to JD and the coaching staff and the players, because they were so close, and you saw how tough they were. Coach Williams and I were talking in the dugout briefly after the game, and my gosh, they don't swing out of the zone. They use the whole field. They're really good with two strikes, and I thought that was the difference yesterday and today. Whoever was going to come out on top was going to be, it was the 2-strike, 2-out hit. And, and so, I just, like I said, I want to congratulate them. I'm proud to be in the same conference with them in the ACC. And like I said often this week, and I got a lot of respect for them, the history of that program, how tough those kids are. I got to play against them when I was in college, and I got to coach against them while at Ole Miss. And wouldn't my first year here on the job, I have to go to Missouri and have to play Miami twice. I can't avoid them, and but especially being in the same league. So I just want to take the time to just congratulate that staff, that administration, those players. And I'm sorry the pain they're going through, because I've been there. But as we learn, there's something special about being in the arena. Something special about being between those lines and in the dugouts, and somebody's going to be crushed when it's over. Can't say enough about our players. It's a combination. There was a part of me that thought, hey, come in here with all the juniors and seniors, right? Come in here with Bivin and Forbes and West and Daniel Levitz and Klein and Eddie King, and let those guys sit here or stand behind you, because they've been through it. Like they've been through some tough times, and they stuck with it. They stuck with me or this coaching staff. They stuck with this university. They stuck with the process, right, as we like to say. To the freshmen and even the sophomores and the transfer portal guys, they knew what they were getting into. They knew where we were as a program, and I kept telling the kids, hey, look, you could be walking into a program that just won a national championship, but I'm just telling you that doesn't guarantee success the next year. Okay, I've got great friends that went through struggles after winning a national championship, and that's not a bad line to be in, because you won a national championship, you're right. So, but you're not immune from tough times, and so I just kept pouring into these kids, like, you're coming into a program, in my opinion, that I think's really darn close. I thought we should have been in the postseason last year, but if I'm being straight, our conference don't get the respect that another conference gets, and we don't have the people in the room that are able to bully their way into putting us in, but that's a whole nother story. And so we don't get in last year. And yes, there was a chip on my shoulder. There was a chip on our players' shoulder. There was just a chip on this shoulders program. And Justin West spoke to this team before Nashville. And I think, we released a little video this past week about what he said. And he was right. And we were disrespected. Just call it what it is. I mean, we were disrespected as a program. Players, coaches, even commitments. Even commitments were just backing out and dropping like flies, as if we weren't the program that we built here. And so you wake up the next day ready to compete. And you just start stacking days. You just start winning days. And I give our coaches a lot of credit. They worked their tail off this summer. I give our players a lot of credit. Like I said, all those older kids that I mentioned, and I apologize if I forgot somebody. And then the new kids, and again, that believed in what we were doing, and they're the reason that we did something special to this point. I really have to. This is a journey for us. I haven't even mentioned the word where we're going. I haven't even talked about it. I don't think I've said it in weeks or maybe months. It's not about that. It's about these guys being their best and just being 1-0 today. And so today we were 1-0. And so I'm super proud of those guys. And but might as well leave it to that and open it up to some questions.
Questions for Coach?
Yeah, Coach, I think you said in the offseason that you were in a valley. What would you say to the guy that was in the valley now after, getting to Omaha?
Yeah, I don't ever want to make this about me. I kind of hope, when I share personal information, that it could lift somebody up, right? I hope I can just be real, be honest, and try to lift somebody up, And so I don't want to make this about me, but I do believe, as a Christian, there are doors that open up for us, and then I also believe sometimes we say, "Screw it, just knock the door down, and say what you want to say," and it's hard to sit here and not think, okay, God has given me this platform to glorify Him, and I could probably take an hour or more, and I really don't want to keep you here too long. Just what the last year was like, but I'll share a different story as I talked about my wife last weekend after we won the Nashville Regional. Our legendary soccer coach, former coach Ken Lola, called me up, and he said, Dan, Pastor Bob Rogers, who's the head of Evangel here in Louisville, and I'm not a member of the church, talked about you in our staff meeting today. And he just started to share things that Pastor Bob was saying. He said, Pastor Bob doesn't even really know you, but you've been on his heart. He must have caught the struggles I was going through, and somehow, and I mean, Ken Lola's talking to me, and man, I hit my knees in the kitchen. Like I'm down, and the emotion is just pouring into me. And it's like, whew. And I thank Coach Lola, because I was in a coach's study with him for years, and he's so wise. And so I had lunch with Pastor Bob and Ken a couple weeks later, and just Pastor Bob with his wisdom and his knowledge, and he sent me a text this week, I don't know, Thursday or Friday. He said, Dan, I'm on my way to Omaha to speak at a church on Sunday. And I just thought, oh wow, and so it's just been a journey, and I shared with my wife, and I memorized this poem, and I'm a big believer in it. And Tara Lee Cobble, I know I said it. I don't know if she's the one who originated the poem, but it's two hearts beat within my chest. The one is foul, the one is blessed. The one I love, the one I hate, the one I feed will dominate. And so I just had to make a decision, like, what was I feeding my heart? And for me, it was, I had to get into the Word. And starting January 1, I'm 159 days into reading the Bible with my brother, with my wife, with the gun club, which is that type of gun, my New York buddies, with my pals from the Citadel, and 159 days. And in one sense, you say, well, just because you read the Bible doesn't mean you go to Omaha. But for me, it does. For me, it's what's in my heart, and it's how I can love on others, and how I can treat others, and how I can coach others. And I had to be prepared even if we lost today. to kind of just share my journey as people seem to be interested in, or I don't mind talking about it. And so, memorizing Psalm 23 and things of that nature that you're always praying, and you're constantly you're just wanting to share your faith and what you're learning through walking with Jesus, and you just hope that you can encourage others. If I could encourage anybody, I'm wearing a shirt, Love the Ville. I'm a member at Northeast Christian Church here in town, and wouldn't you know, the head pastor's a former college baseball player, so we obviously hit it off, Tyler McKenzie. But I would just want to encourage people, join a church, get in a group study, whether that's couples or men if you're men, or women if you're women, and get in the Word. And I would just say get in the Word. But getting in the Word is very intimidating. And it's not easy doing it by yourself. So fortunately, I'm doing it, like I said, with a group. I'm using the app. I'm no Bible scholar. Don't act like I'm one. But man, I'll tell you, these last 159 days hasn't been perfect. But man, I would please encourage others, to get in the Word. Sorry for the long answer, and just what's on my heart and on my mind.
A lot was made about the offense and deserving this, but for what the defense was able to do today in terms of, especially that double play, I mean, just how pleased have you been with the defensive effort today and this whole season?
Yeah, we've been really good defensively this year. I mean, we turn a lot of double plays. That's a credit to our pitchers. I mean, super talented infielders. The double play is something we work on a lot. We talk about it. I mean, we feel like we're a really good defense, and offense is sexy and that gets a lot of attention. But we always say, man, pitching and defense is where it's at. And if you look at the postseason, I mean, we've really pitched and defended, and then, a couple plays in one of the games last weekend, but it's trying to keep the other team from scoring runs. And we talk so much about the pitcher that I hate. You're not by yourself, man. There's 9 of us out there and 9 of them out there, and team defense is what it is. So we practice it a lot. Man, when that ball dropped in between Byram and Pike, I was so mad. And Byram knew it because he's a darn good infielder, really good player. And like we said, we have 5 starting infielders, but we only have 4 spots. And we work on the fly ball, and we credit the pitcher, in our opinion, when the ball goes in the air. The pitcher won, right? Even the last kid, and that kid was scary. Ogden, when the ball goes in the air, more times than not, the pitcher won, unless you could hit it over the fence, which is not easy to do. So we do take a lot of pride in our team defense.
Yes.
And Coach, you've been talking about dogpiling for a very long time, and of course your players look in this room, and Omaha is on literally every wall. So to finally have them reach that destination, I mean, how special is this? Not just for yourself, but for them as well.
You said it, and it's for them. Like I said, it feels, I don't know, I say somewhat awkward, but I'm just trying to do my diligence. Man, this is about the players. We won our first regional in 07, and we went on stage. We had like 9 seniors. I wanted to take all the seniors. So the older players were just on my heart because, they have to come in this room like every day. They run out to practice every day, and they see it, and if you see it, you can believe it. But that also comes with pressure, right? That puts pressure on you. And this is not a place to come, I guess, for the weak at heart. Like you come here, you want to put it on the line. And I just so happy for these players. I've enjoyed them all year, and even if we faded in the regionals, I would say I love this group. But man, the journey is so much fun, and this postseason has been really exciting.
That's right.
Eddie is one of those seniors you've been talking about, and for him to have such an incredible weekend to really help you guys get to Omaha, just what does it mean to see him kind of, flourish this weekend and with the Eddie chance after that hit?
Oh man, is that not awesome? And he got a warning yesterday for the bat flip, but those that are around the program would tell you. I mean, Eddie might be the sweetest kid on the team. I mean, it's just he is loved. He's such a good person, and for me, the talent it's off the chart. I mean, it's a really good outfielder. We tried to play him in center last year, and with our history of center fielders, and he got so big and physical, and then he had some knee issues and a hamstring. He's a corner outfielder, but he's a darn good corner outfielder. And the power, as we talked about Forbes yesterday, and what organization is going to get him. I don't know how you're an organization not fighting Freddie King. I mean, you tell me you can't see that guy in a big league uniform playing left or right field, like, and I shared this with Eddie on the field, and I said it going into the postseason, and some are going to remember this. He got robbed that home run at Georgia Tech. It just ripped our hearts out, and that was the number one play on SportsCenter. He got robbed a home run at Clemson. We lost, one-run game. He hit two balls at Notre Dame I thought were gone, with the bases loaded. He hit another ball at Clemson, right center, thought it was gone, caught. And I just remember when the postseason started, I said, if you stick to the process and you believe, it's going to even out. Some balls are going to drop for us. And if you go back to the championship game down in Nashville, some balls dropped for us. And today, when that kid dove, I had a darn good beat on it. And I know he's sick that he didn't catch it. And the wind kind of pushed it to him. So probably I don't know if he overran it, but he was about to make a great catch. And when it hit off his glove and it landed, I just kind of looked down and I smiled. And I thought, okay, like that was the break we needed. Like it's got to even out. If you do things right, and you stick to the process, it's not always going to go your way, but I do believe things will even out like that. And it couldn't happen to a nicer kid.
Chuck.
Dan, last time you were in Omaha, you said you'd be back, but it's been a long time. From the standards you guys have built, were there doubts along the way, and how have you kind of dealt with those?
Oh man, definitely. I mean, I'd be lying if I said there weren't doubts. With just how the landscape of college athletics changed over the last couple years. Just, a lot of doubts. But, we do say control the controllables. So just control what you can control. And as I've shared, right, baseball is the great equalizer where, don't get me wrong, I want more resources. And the more you give us, I think the more this program will benefit from it. But it's been a couple tough years, and I don't want to really live in the past and get into all the specifics why, but I think those that are around the program know why. We've proven that with the right kids and the work ethic, and you catch a couple breaks, you got a chance to do something special. So really happy for the university, man. It's been a great year, and we've been through some tough times. So what a great year for our university athletically. I hope it only springboards and helps, because I know we've done some great things, on the admission side. But the city, man, I got to tell you, I'm blown away by the support, and because, like I said, we've hosted a lot of regionals and we've hosted super regionals, and man, this place was, every time I looked up in the stands and just the rows deep in the concourse, and when I looked out on the berm, just awesome, and so we're so appreciative. make sure they know. I think, Stephen, is February 13th our first home game. Make sure they know our first home game at Jim Patterson. We open up first weekend against Michigan State, and then we'll go back to Globe Life the second weekend. But, you know, hey, we're always recruiting fans now and season ticket holders. I will say it broke my heart how many people couldn't get a ticket initially and how many people blew us up to get tickets, but it kind of was a blessing that it was a tough ticket to get. And I've always said, if you're a season ticket holder, you kind of got your spot for the postseason, and our season tickets are pretty darn cheap. So I hope that jumpstarts the support over the winter months, and we get more people out here early next spring.
There's just shy of 18,000 for the weekend.
You know, and in capacity, right? We can only, I mean, it's I guess they're saying sold out, so it's I guess you can't really get more than. I mean, you can get more than 6,000 in here, but they can't see the field, you know. And I spoke to Josh about we discussed, you know, putting in seats and just the cost and how many seats you get, and it does take away from our, you know, that turf area and how many people are standing there. So it was discussed.
Dan, you sat there early in February, and you've said a number of times this year about Sunday. You wanted to win more third games of the series. You wanted to finish, is what you said. I believe you're undefeated at home this year, and that has to make you feel good that on Sundays, today, the day you closed it.
No doubt. We showed a picture of the team, and we had a scrolling list of the schools. The 5 ACC that we played at home, the 3 non-conference, and we scrolled it on the message board to kind of remind our kids, you know, we haven't lost a game 3 at home all year. And now that's a credit to them, you know, because you go through the highs and the lows, and we've said it, we get off the mat. That's a credit, man, to Nico and Josh, you know, our strength coach and our trainer, who spends so much time with these kids physically helping their bodies. But, you know, it's Savannah, our nutritionist, it's Katie, our mental performance coach. I mean, just everybody pouring into these guys to you know, as we like to say, finish, you know, and that comes with a mental toughness, a physical side. But yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up, because that was made well aware of to this group this morning, you know, as to how well we have done in game 3s, because sometimes it is a Saturday.
Rick,
Yeah, Ethan kind of hinted that you had told them you would dye your hair or something.
I don't know.
Are you going to do it?
I don't know. Somehow I get roped into these things, and it's hard for me to say no. You know, my wife is like all into this stuff, so thinking that my hair has to be dyed, I guess I'll do, you know, whatever the team wants in some sense. But I will say I've been coaching, I don't know, over 30 years, and when I go back to my time at the Citadel, it's just amazing. I'm again, and it's like, read the Bible doesn't get you to Omaha, right? I don't want to act like, you know, but for me, being in the Word, the teams that kind of say, hey, we're going to do this together, it's amazing. I mean, in my first year here, when I let all the kids grow their hair long, had no idea in 07 they were going to dye their hair black. And so we looked like a rock band. I mean, it was gross. Now, my wife says it looked awesome, but I was like, you know, we went to the Big East meetings in New York, and I was like, oh my gosh, this doesn't look right. And so, but the kids, and it's just something about doing things like that together. And so whether it's the Mohawks or the red or the blonde or the black, or I just think there's something cool about the unity of kids saying, you know what, if you do it, I'll do it, and you do it, and I'll just do it because, man, we're in this together. And again, I can't say if you do that, you're going to Omaha. But I don't know, in our culture, in our program, I give those kids a lot of credit, because it says, man, I care about you, and let's do this together. And so I guess I'm going to be roped into something here in the
You
next
are.
few days.
Good.
Coach, you mentioned at the very beginning, you had a chip on your shoulder. The team had a chip on their shoulder at the beginning of the year because of what happened at the end last year. You talked about the unity the team has just now with the hair and whatnot. Are those things the kind of things that contribute to a deeper run in Omaha than before? And what other things can help that?
Well, it's, I definitely don't have the secret sauce of winning in Omaha. And I talked about, I think experience could be a little overrated. But, I do as a coach just feel responsible for just putting these kids in the best position to play their best. And so everything this team's been through, and I can say, like I said, this was about the journey. I feel like they're in a good spot to play well this next week or 2 weeks because, again, we really didn't make it about the destination. Our team goal in 2025 was to win the ACC. Really, that was the only thing we talked about. Because, if you win the ACC, holy cow, you're lined up. Like you should host and regional supers and like you put yourself in a position if you win that league. And so really, that's kind of all we focused on was and every text. And I think some of the guys said it last summer. 2025 ACC champions. Like that was on the bottom of every text, every letter, and that was our goal, But you realize if that's a goal, then that puts you in a good spot for the postseason, and it's kind of obvious what you're trying to do in the postseason. So I think this group's as well grounded, and not like, there's a mental exhaustion to getting there, but I said I'm walking into this meeting texting our strength coach and our trainer like tomorrow's schedule. And I mean, my wheels are turning like we still got baseball to play. So, I want them to celebrate, with their families. But, man, we want to keep this journey going. So, I'm confident, but I don't know what 8 coaches aren't confident, whenever they get there.
All right, we'll finish Saranda and Seal.
I know we talked a little bit about the freshmen, but just the freshmen that you had on the mound today, they just had a phenomenal performance. Just what did you see from this game on the bump?
Well, I think I said it in the interview during the broadcast. Like, we wouldn't be here if it weren't for Ethan Eberle. And our pitching staff was scuffling a little bit. And I hate it. We lost Parker Detmers for the year. Super talented, was our Saturday starter. And then when, Forbes we were gonna give him some rest, it was like, man, I think we went down to Clemson and we started freshman, and then Peter Michael. And so Eberle was just, man, he just kept trending up. And, you saw that championship game last weekend against Wright State. And, our kids are very confident behind him. And, Colin Mowry was the freshman catcher that caught him a lot before Klein came back. And to have a weekend starter and and then your closer, you could say one of your closers is a freshman, is pretty impressive, But, we recruit at a high level, and we've always had a tradition of freshmen contributing. We need them to contribute. So let's hope that continues in the future.
All right, last one, Jody.
You mentioned recruiting earlier and guys dropping off, commits last year or coming into this year. What can this do not only for recruiting, but for the guys that are here? The portal's open. There's just so many changing things. What can this do for your roster building for the future, if anything?
Well, I just you always gotta be who you are, and you got to attract the right people, the right players, right? And so what we saw the last couple of years was this thing got a little sideways, and when you read the Bible a lot, what are your idols? And money And there's a lot of issues, and there's a lot talked about in the Bible about money. So, you know, at the end of the day, maybe it's a blessing. Like, you want to get the right kids here for the right reasons. And, you know, like, as I made it clear to several of them, I'm not begging you to come here. We know what we're about, and we know what we can offer you. And that same thing in the transfer portal. In our first conversation, if you're looking for the most money, let's not waste our time here. That's fine. I'm not going to judge you, but I'm not wasting my time on you. Let's get the right players that want to be here for the right reasons. And I don't know how you can put a price tag on that. At the end of the day, I mean, that's going to be with you for the rest of your life. So it's kind of fitting that Cutts got the last out because he had a lot of suitors after him. I mean, the conference pitcher of the year for a team, I think he was the only kid in our room that had postseason experience and like routine experience, you know, back-to-back regionals, and he was in a super regional, you know. So I just thought it was fitting, you know, that he was able to get the last out. And so, you know, and it doesn't, I don't want to act like I'm not fighting for money for my kids. And now all these rules are changing, and it's like changing in the last 72 hours. And we're trying to win a super regional. And I don't even know if I fully understand. And I don't even know if our kids and everybody knows exactly how all the rules changed, you know, with the collective bargaining, the NIL and all that. I mean, have an idea, but I don't want to act like I'm an expert on it. And so I got to wrap my head around it. I do think the kids that are here, or the kids that came here, know that I'm fighting for them. I mean, like they know I fight for them, and that, like I said, I'll do everything I can to help them. And because I don't want kids taking loans and passing up a lot of money and feeling not appreciated, or, you know, whatever has gone on the past couple years. So I'll keep fighting for them. You know, if there's not gonna be any more questions, I hate to like leave this without thanking again for the local media. It's awesome. You guys are so welcome. I hope you come, you know, often. And I'm glad that we can give you something to write about at this time of the year. For Jess with the ACC, she knows how much I appreciate her and love the ACC. We're so blessed to be in that league, man. It's awesome. And she does an awesome job with baseball. You know, for Coach Joe and Coach O, running a regional or a super regional, man, those things are stressful. and we had to deal with some weather. I appreciate Mark Weinberg, and he spent a lot of time out at the ball field. And but our people, man, you know, I see Evan in the back, and Thomas, and all the people that, you know, it's a great celebration when you get to host a regional or super regional, but holy cow, behind the scenes, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And for someone who doesn't sleep well and leaves the house early, and I get here sometimes as the sun's coming up, I'm just blown away how early everybody's here. I mean, I could not believe, like, the people that were here at the stadium like 4 hours or more before game time. Like, it's good perspective for me to see how hard people are working. So I'm very appreciative of our staff and everybody that got involved. Let me also say, I had friends from New York work through Thursday, leave Thursday night, drive through the night, 12 plus hours to get here Friday before the game, hoping that they could leave Sunday morning. But because we lose yesterday, they now, thankfully, it's a noon game. I've had friends even stay later. That's the gun club group, and they stay through this game, and they're already in their cars, and they're got to be home in time for work on Monday, and it just kind of symbolizes how blessed I feel, you know, with family here, my brother and my sister-in-law, and all my friends coming in. And I have to give a shout out to my mom because my mom couldn't make it. She's the dog whisperer, all right? And she watches everybody's dogs, and she had committed to watch a lot of dogs this weekend, and for like people going off to like graduations and weddings and really, you know, I say important things. And so it broke her heart that we couldn't have my mom here. And what's crazy is this week in the first practice, I shared a story with the players about my mom. And in 2007, my first year here, she was here in person. And in 2005, lost in game 3 to go to Omaha. In 2006, lost in game 3 to go to Omaha. And I'm here in 2007, it's our first year here, and we lose in extra innings to go to Omaha. And so now we have to go to a game 3. And my mom on Sunday morning says, let's just go for a walk. And so we're walking around the neighborhood, and she's giving me this perspective, kind of like, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's dad when he rode on the bus with Kareem, and Pat Riley shared that story about dads and families. And so I got my mom, like, you know, just putting things in perspective, like, you know, what a year, like what a journey, what an experience. And she called me out because it was like, everything is Omaha, Omaha, Omaha. It's on your phone. There's signs. That's what you talk about. That's all we hear come out of your mouth. But you're missing out on the journey. You're missing out on the joy. And it was like an aha moment for me. And I walked in to the meeting, you know, that year, game 3, with Logan Johnson and Zach Pitts and Chris Cates and Boomer Whiting and Chris Dominguez and a lot of others. And I apologized to the team. And I had said, guys, I put so much pressure on that team to get to the postseason, And then when we got there, it was like, we have to win. And as we're, you know, trying to get to Omaha, the immense pressure was on me. I felt it, just selfishly for my desires. And I had to apologize to the team. And I just said, guys, I've been goofing this thing up. Man, I've been doing it for a couple years now. And I just want you guys to enjoy this. Like, man, it's my first year as a head coach, and I'm one win away from going to Omaha. Holy cow. Like, we won a regional, and we're hosting a super regional at Jim Patterson Stadium. And I don't know if the players would remember exactly what I said, but they would remember that type of speech. And I think we scored 22 runs or so that day. And so I felt really bad when my mom couldn't get here this week, as I had a lot of family and cousins and aunts and uncles. And so I just said, Mom, I know you got dogs lined up for next weekend, but I'm just telling you now, you're going to have to cancel because I got to get you to Omaha. And so I appreciate you letting me share that story. And I really appreciate you guys being around as long, and I'm sorry you had to sit around for as long as you had, but it's a blessing, and I know I'll see more in Omaha. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.